morning.
We're kicking it.
That's right. Nice. Lydia, look at those hips go.
Yeah, I got hip range.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. All right. Okay, does anyone need to say anything before I take you to mute? All good? All right. Please unmute yourself, of course, if you have a question and ask. Welcome, everybody. So, I've been learning some really cool things about what happens when we sleep. And one of the things that happens is that your back, the discs are imbibing that fluid or soaking up the cerebral spinal fluid. And so if you were to measure yourself first thing in the morning, you would be at least a centimeter taller than you are later on in the day. That's really great for having the health of those discs. But it also means that if you have a thicker, stiffer spine, that bending early in the morning could be not necessarily so great for your body. If you have a thinner, more willowy spine, it may not be of such consequence. But that puffing up of the space between the vertebrae then makes it so that stiffness is there. And many people know they probably feel different doing exercises in the morning than they do in the afternoon. And that's one of the reasons why. It's also a reason why if you get sick or something and you're on bed rest for a number of days and you don't recompress those discs, you can change what's going on in your back, or it gets painful. Sometimes people have to get out of bed because of pain. And sometimes that's because of how those discs are swelling. So that's an interesting piece just to think about. The other thing that I am finding very interesting is when do we need to apply an adaptive force to our body that's a stiffening thing versus increasing range of motion? And how do we look at our bodies and how they vary? And what's actually the most healthy thing for your particular body? So the good thing is you know that better than I do. So please take care of your body as we move through this. But we'll start to look at where some stiffening can happen, where we want the whole body to move as a unit, and where having that balance between stability and greater range of motion is important. So with all of that, feet pointed straight ahead, take some deep breaths and get into your body. And then notice the weight between your feet, between the right and left side. And just notice if you're even. Where's the weight from your heels to your toes? And one of the things we do know for sure is that more even position on your feet means that the bones and muscles on each side are doing more similar things. Keep that. Draw your shoulders a little bit in toward your spine so that the thoracic back is opening just slightly. Reach your shoulders up toward your ears and press them down. Lift and lower. And lift and lower. And release. Squeeze your shoulder blades toward your spine, pinch them together, find those rhomboids. Squeeze and release. Squeeze and release.
No.
Oh, I got you the camel one.
There. That's my mask.
There was a blue one and a camel one. Oh, I thought McCoy liked the camel. Let's pick a different one out. Talk to Dad. All right, come down onto your belly. And just fold your hands underneath your forehead. And I want you to know, 1, is this position okay? 2, does this create some kind of gripping in your back? So just being on your belly, letting your forehead come down like this. Just notice, does that create some gripping in your back muscles where you need to slowly take deep breaths to let that go? Or does it feel comfortable right away? Those are good things to notice. Big full breath. And with the out breath, just let your spine gently move into that natural curve. Two more full breaths. And then let your feet go to the left and to the right, just gently windmilling sideways. So you're just creating a little bit of a wiggle between the leg bones and the pelvis. And keep taking those deep breaths. And then begin to come up onto your hands and knees. So knowing that it's early, let's go into that extension a little bit first, just to the point where you feel like it's okay in your body, cats and dogs, letting your belly hang down toward the floor, and then gently go into that rounding and down. And we're literally kind of squishing the fluid out of the disc space, which may make you a little bit shorter again, but it also helps those discs stay healthy, lets the facet joints move like they need to, all of the joint articulations happen evenly and balanced. We're also flossing the nerve just a little bit. Every time you move your head, you pull on the nerves that go from the base of your skull all the way down through your back into your legs, and then come to neutral. Create a bit of a stiffening at your belly. So exhale, pull, blow out. Make it so that if you were to push your fingers into your own belly, you're pushing your fingers out by creating some stiffness, and then take it into a hand leg opposite lift. Hold and switch. Lift and release. Lift and release. Lift, release, lift, release, lift, release, lift, release. Excellent. Come all the way back up to standing. Standing elbow curls, feet pointed straight ahead, hands folded into the golfer's grip, knowing that you have this fascial connection all the way from the base of your feet up the chain of your body into your back behind your head, and you're lengthening that whole line of muscles. Bring your elbows up, elbows all the way together so they touch, and all the way back. Right now, go ahead and relax your belly. Let the line of muscles that's going up the back side of your body hold you. And open up that thoracic back a little bit more. Get the elbows to go all the way back and all the way together. And release. Fold your fingers to your palms, arms out to the side. Bring your arms out, pinch your shoulder blades, arms into shoulders, and relax your belly again. Once again, that whole back side just holding you up 40 circles forward. That little bit of stiffening. So sometimes things can move in your back. A little bit of a spondy where the vertebrae actually slides forward, where there's instability, or you could have a little bit of a disc that gets compressed and then acts more like a flat tire. So some of that stability then helps to create new stiffness in that place. Palms up, circle backwards. And release. Good. Take one foot and bring it a little bit forward, then the other. We're going to go after some stiffness in your abdominals. So we're going to do this for 30 seconds. Bend your knees a little bit, reach forward like you're going to start going for a run. And then I just want you to move your arms as quickly as you can, like you're going for that run for 30 seconds. Keep your body as stable as you can. Move your arms and feel your abdominals have that gripping. Breathe. Go as fast as you can. Creating some stiffness. We're going to switch feet in just a second. Keep going. Pump those arms. Switch your feet. Keep going. 30 seconds on the other side. Stabilize your trunk. I have a little wiggle. Try to make less wiggle happen at your hips. Halfway. Keep going. Using those arms as a pump. And release. Excellent. Feet pointing straight ahead again. This time we'll go into that lateral flexion. So created some stiffness. Now we're going to open it sideways. Over to one side and up. Over to the other side. Again, check if this feels appropriate for your body. Where do we want to gain some range of motion while we still support the stability of our back? Take it wider. Hug your feet in, same thing. Over to one side and up. Over to the other side and up. Good. Posturally, we're looking at evening out a hip position. If you have a tensor fasciatum muscle that may be overly engaged, this can help drop or even out your pelvic position, which may make your spine more stable when you're standing because it's not in an asymmetrical position. And back in. Okay, let's warm up those big leg muscles. Go into just a free squat. So hip hinging, going back right at this big hip joint that you've got, down and up. You can kind of screw your feet into the ground, so start slightly pigeon-toed and then pull the heels around. That adds a little bit of torque to those tissues in your pelvis, and again creates a little bit of that stiffness. We want really good range of motion, but spin in the hip socket that doesn't have increased anterior glide or posterior glide or kind of sloppy hip mechanics. So as screwing your feet into the ground a little bit can create just a little bit of that tightness. Nice. Go down and hold it. Hold that hip hinge. Now, if it feels appropriate for you, let's add a lever by reaching our arms up. Sit down, feel your quads, feel your glutes, find length. You could stiffen your torso just a bit again by pushing out with your abdominal muscles, holding that space. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come on up. Excellent. Now let's go after these big butt muscles a little bit. Turn your feet out and find them. So one of the techniques that Vladimir Janda used, he was a physical therapist in the Czech Republic, was Slovakia, I think, at that point. But he really looked at the body and the posture and said, find the places that are overly tight and stretch them and engage the places that tend to be weak. And we know that for lots of people, we tend to be tight in the psoas or tight in the quads, and the butt muscles oppose those, and they are more difficult to activate then. We want that to gently pull the leg bone out, get even contraction between the two sides of your glutes. No sleepy butt muscles around here. Tighten, release, and feel what's happening in your body. Do you have access to your butt muscles? With your feet out, we shortened that muscle to give you an advantage. Do you have access to those muscles on both sides? Ten more. Squeeze, release. Nice. We'll stay with it. So now we are going to actually stretch the quads by putting them in a bent, knee bent position. So the muscles that cross the hip joint and the knee joint are stretched. And then put your block between your ankles. Then stack your load joints, ears over shoulders, over hips, over knees. And then squeeze that block with the whole inside of your foot. So this also works on your foot position. If you have feet that turn a little bit out like a duck, then squeezing that block with your big toes will help bring the ankle and foot mechanics back in. Squeeze, release. Squeeze, release. Keep going. Let's do 20 more. Squeeze with the inside of your feet. Release. So once again, quads are lengthened, butt muscles are activating. Stretch what's tight. Activate what's out of position or a little weak. The bowl of your pelvis, also from the hip joints down to the base of your sacrum, is also supported right through this SI joint area. And sometimes you need more stability at the top or more stability at your hips to keep that SI joint from having so much movement. So increasing stiffness in that area. I'm gonna have you come down onto your belly. Put your block between your ankles. And then just fold your hands underneath your forehead. Now, if that's too much extension for you, you could do this with your legs out straight on the floor like this. You could even put a pillow underneath your belly if just being in this position is too much extension. If just being on your belly is too much, and that would give us indications about what else to do with your body. But if you can do this and just squeeze the block with your legs straight, you can do it that way. If it feels okay to you to bend those knees and put the stretch again on the front of the thighs and relax your shoulders, then you can squeeze once again the block. And I'll give you a minute. Squeeze and release that block with the whole inside of your foot, big toes and heels. If you need to move your knees slightly out beyond your hips so that you have a better rotation of that leg bone, little external rotation happening at the thigh. Relax your shoulders again. Squeeze, release. And there's a minute. Then put that down, roll onto your back, and put the block between your knees, coming down onto your back. So we went external rotation. Now we'll go into that internal rotation. So line up your pelvis and your rib cage, arms out to the side. You can gently tuck your shoulders underneath you so that your shoulder blades are just lying flat on your back. And just lying flat is going to push on the thoracic back a little bit, making it more flat, flattening the spine just a touch. Feel that neutral position and then squeeze and release the block with the inside of your legs for a minute. Bringing balance to that right and left side of your body. And release. Come onto your hands and knees and come into a kneel and groin stretch. Left leg forward, right leg back. So holding that split hip position, feeling your hips square as best you can. Your knee can be on your front thigh. Make sure your toes are, or your ankle is ahead of that knee as you go forward. And then just relax your shoulders down your back and breathe. Letting those hips open. If you squeeze your shoulders a little bit, down and back, you may notice the hips open a little bit more. And then let's add reaching up of this right arm and then taking your body over to your left just a little bit from your wrist all the way down through your psoas. That fascia is connected. And just pull on that a little bit more. And switch sides. Hands on your knee, coming forward, feeling your hips stay square, shoulder blades move down your back, relax. Feel your breath. Shoulder blades gently squeeze together. And then add that left arm, reaching that left arm up, feeling from the wrist all the way in through the whole torso into the tissue of the fascia and the psoas from your low back to the inside of that leg. Find length and space. And release. Hands and knees once again. And round and arch. And then go ahead and come down onto your back. Go into supine femur rotations. So moving up into the hip joint itself. Extending your legs straight on the floor. Let's go right leg straight. Pull your toes back, arms out to the side. Check your alignment, hips, ribs, head, shoulders gently tucked underneath you. And then move that leg out and in, letting the hip joint have that rotation out and in. And then switch sides. Pull the toes back, tighten your thigh, out, in, out, and in. Good. Stay with the hip joint. Switch again. This time, pull the right leg up and imagine you have a pen on your knee and you're just going to do small circles on the ceiling with that hip. So stabilizing. Again, if you were to push your fingers into your belly, then push your fingers back out. So create some stiffness so that you have stiffness in your back, in your core, and just move maybe like a 10-inch circle around in that hip. So all of the abductors and adductors are having to create some stability there. As well as in your trunk. Reverse your direction when you've done 10. And then hold that leg up, bring your ankle in as far as you can, and then neutral, and then bring that ankle to the outside of your body as far as it will go. And you may have that knee just shy of vertical. Internal and external rotation. And release. Second side, start your circles. Pull it up there. Circle that hip all the way around. And release and reverse. And then in and out. And release. Both feet on the floor. Rock up on your toes and back on your heels. And work the ankle all the way up till the balls of your foot. You feel the muscles working across that arch on the ball of your foot, and then back, up, and back. And then roll to your side. We're going to stay with that hip into clam shells. So on your side, create a little bit of stiffness, and then lift your leg up and down. All the way up and down. Let's do 20 of those. You could even just add your own hand to create a little bit of resistance if you wanted just a little bit more. And then switch sides. Twenty more. Finding all those prime movers in your body. What is the role of the muscle? What's it supposed to do? And how do we let the compensating mechanisms relax when the right muscle is doing the right job? And once again, onto your hands and knees and round and arch. And then just see in your own body, take your knees wider than your hips, bring your hands a little bit forward, and just draw straight back, keeping your tailbone lifted. And just see how far back can you go without your tailbone tucking down toward the floor. And just get an indication, does that feel like you can get almost all the way back? Or does it feel like pretty close to past your knees, your thigh bone starts to hit the top of your pelvis and takes your tailbone down. Now, the depth of your hip sockets are part of what makes that happen. Also some flexibility. And if you have thicker bones, or maybe you have more Northern European ancestry, you tend to have deeper hip sockets and be a little less flexible in this area versus other parts of the world. And so pushing on those hips too much in too deep of a squat can actually damage the hip socket. And so that's where some individual variation can show up. And just feel, where is that place for you? Nice. And then just go ahead and bring your legs together. Do a regular child's pose, as long as it's okay for you. Reach your arms way out in front of you and just take some deep breaths. And then come all the way back up. We'll go into some twists. Let's go into an upper spinal floor twist. So knees and feet stacked, one right in front of the other. Arms there. And just notice, do you have a big space? So if you have thicker hips like I do, you may have a big space underneath your waistline. Pull that up a little bit as you rotate. Maybe pull your knees just slightly higher and then let your top arm move toward the floor. Use your breath. Allow that rotation to happen in your body. This is the kind of thing where probably rotations happen more easily after the discs lose a little bit of that fluid. So it may be really different to rotate in the afternoon than it is in the morning. Untwist. Switch sides. Stack your knees and hips. Gently rotate. And come back to neutral. Let's go into a hip crossover. Cross the right ankle over the left knee. Come all the way down to the floor on the left side. Press your right knee away from you, opening that hip. Breathe. You can turn your palms down, press your arms down into the floor so you have stability at the distal ends or the far apart place. Pressing your whole arm into the floor may open up that hip a bit more. Come on up. And then switch sides. left over right, all the way down. So stability at the hands, distal end. You could also play with stability at the trunk and do that exhale, blow out, and see if creating more stability in the trunk lets the femur rotate more. Come on up, and then pelvic tilts. Gently rock back and forth. Let's do one more today into a crocodile twist. Legs out straight, and then put your right heel on top of your left toes, arms straight out from your shoulders, and then go up and over to your left, look to your right, and hold. We'll hold for a minute. So your obliques are having to twist you. Let those big rotators happen in your hips. Hands creating some stability so that you can keep rotating, and also stability and rotation in the trunk. Big breaths. See if you can create kind of a shield, but breathe behind the shield. Untwist, switch sides, take it up and over, hands pressing down. Use that a little bit from the outer edges of your body to create that stability and that roll. Then also find abdominal muscles, use them, but still be able to breathe while you're using them. And begin to untwist. Both feet on the floor. Bend your knees. Shoulders underneath you. Find your butt muscles again. Squeeze and release your glutes. As always, if it's difficult for you to squeeze them with your knees bent, you may straighten your legs. That's a little bit easier to find activation of the butt muscles. Squeeze and release. You can use the glutes to create stability in that pelvic ring. Good. Now bring your legs in a little bit. Send your knees out that way, away from your body. Lift and lower. 20 lifts, gently pressing your head down into the floor, up and down. and release. Grab your block one more time. Place it between your knees. Give one set of squeezes, 20 squeezes. Twenty more up on your toes, back on your heels. Remember that we're moving our feet, we're working the muscles of the lower leg, but that translates all the way up into the thoracic back as the floor gently presses on your back, opening up that space. And then 20 more squeezes in on your block. Finding those adductors. Excellent. Place that down. Now roll over. Come up to hands and knees. Use that position to come to standing. And then let's work our balance just a little bit. Find this standing position. Load one of your legs, arms out to the side, side leg lifts, keeping everything else stiff. 10 times. Switch. First side again. Second side. Take that leg behind you in the hamstring curl, letting the knee point straight down to the floor. Curl that leg all the way up. Use that back side of your body. 10 curls. And switch. And then bring that leg up in front of you. Finding that stability, hold underneath your knee. Circle that ankle 10 times all the way around. So this split hip position, we did one other split hip position today, that kneeling groin stretch. As you go up like this, the standing leg tilts a little bit backwards. Hopefully that glute engages while this front leg, that hip flexor is engaging. So as reverse it. And point and flex. And release. Second side, find your balance. Circles. Reverse. point and flex. And release. And then come to whatever position is most comfortable for you. We are going to just feed some positivity into your body again. So you can use it as a meditation. You could also just invite that vibration into your system using the quantum field of what we're discovering in science to just bring light photons, positive healing into your body. So get ready. From whatever position you find most comfortable, begin to focus on your breath and use your breath to draw inhales in and exhales out. In through your nose and out through your mouth, or whichever way feels best to you. And then do that drop back, allowing your mind to get clear, and just be in the present moment. And then knowing that you are made of particles of light, that is also what makes up everything in the universe. And that field has joyful, healing energy in it. Love, connection. So with each breath, just invite that into your body. And let that light particle or that flood of light flow into your right leg. Your right leg often has to do with bringing you forward in the world. And then let the light flood into your left leg. And if there's any healing that needs to happen in your left leg on any level, on a cellular level, on a tissue level, on a atom level, on anything that needs healing, let that just find the spaces that it needs to heal. That left side of your body is often about discerning and making good judgments. It's also creative and wise. And allow that light energy to flood into your torso, into every cell of your being. And just, if there's any healing that needs to happen in your torso, in your organs, in your lungs, allow that to just find the spaces that it needs to go and see that being healed. Imagine the light energy in your torso healing, and then see your body healed from whatever needs to happen. May it be your spine or a disc or something in an organ. See yourself without that limitation, or see yourself in full vibrant health. And then bring that light energy into both of your arms, the right arm and the left arm, and just let it flood into your body. And then up through your neck and out your head, and just become a vessel that's holding light. And once again, if there's neurons or synapses or any piece that you can invite that healing into, so we maintain cognitive function and amazing memories, and we can learn faster than we ever have before, and just see your whole body once again in the most vibrant health that you've ever been in your whole life. Come back to your breath. You can use the breath to bring that energy in. You can use the breath also to release anything that you want to let go of. Breathe in health, vitality, support. Release limiting thoughts and fears. One more time, breathe in that amazing community support into supporting the vibrant health of your body. And just feel that nourish every cell. And exhale any last thing that you want to release. And then gently come back around. And we have just a minute to check in if you'd like to say something.